you. The more you can feel that sense of joy, the more easy it's going to be for you to do financially. Because you're not going to be in this scarce, fearful mode. Now that's not enough by itself. You can have this great sense of abundance and do the wrong mechanics and be a disaster. True or false? But if I had to have an area to get you started with, you want to have the emotion and psychological strength, because that's going to carry you through when the mechanics are boring or frustrating, or when things aren't working out. Your emotion, your psychology is what will carry you. It'll get you to keep doing it. Everyone knows, if you've done any studies, Dr. Seligman is very famous for doing studies on optimism. And in those studies, you know what he found out? People that are pessimists are much more realistic. They're much more accurate. If you give them a test and you ask them to look at something and give you a size measurement of it, or to evaluate their own success or failure at a task, in every study Seligman's done, he did it in University, I think Pennsylvania if I remember correctly originally, what he found was that optimists always see themselves as doing better than they really did. They basically BS themselves. What happens to pessimists, they're 10 times more accurate. But here's what he found out. What he found out is because the people who are accurate never push themselves because they know it's never going to work anyway. Whereas the optimist sees it better than it is, so they keep doing it. Because they have the illusion they did well, I'll do even better next time. And because of that optimism, they did it more often, and so optimists succeed at a 4 to 5-fold, depending upon the task, result ultimately beyond anything that a pessimist will do, and they're not as accurate. All that's a big way of saying is, if you can develop a psychology of resilience in yourself, you don't have to be optimistic or fake, you can be real. The realness is, whatever shows up, you are larger than anything that can happen to you. You are larger than any financial challenge you could ever face. Initially, we'll say, well, look at their houses, look at their homes, and they don't really have electricity, they don't have this, but they don't feel poor. It's your identity. The way you define the wealth determines whether you're wealthy or not. So are there enough things for you, knowing that 2/3 of the planet lives on $2 a day, that you could get yourself to really feel grateful, yes or no? Yes. How much of your life do you get benefits from today that you never had to create? Think about it. Like I said, the roads you ride on, the library, the books you didn't have to write, right? The internet that you can access in seconds and get answers to just about anything. The people in your life that you didn't have to raise, but are there for you. Think about all the different aspects of your life. If you want to be wealthy, all you have to do is associate. So before we do the financial part, because financial independence is different than wealth. Wealth is that state of mind. Financial independence is being in that position where you don't ever have to work again. That if you work, you do it because you really want to. Now, I'll give you a clue. If you get financially independent and you don't work, you'll be miserable. I can't tell you how many friends I have that sold their company, made $50 million. One man made almost $1 billion and was really excited for a while. But after a while, it was like bored. His vehicle of his business gave him a sense of contribution, and he was always growing, figuring out how to solve problems, and he had all the people he was connected to in the business, all the employees and friends and associates. So I want to tell you, I'm not just saying this as some little positive thinking technique. I'm telling you, this is the secret, the real secret, to shift it inside of you and to add the real value. Most people are trying to pursue something in the future that they already have. I want you to think of what it is you think you want that will make you wealthy or financially free. By defining the game in a winnable way, a certain amount of money that we meet, and that covers what we're going to call financial security, which might be your housing, your cars, your food, and basic entertainment. How many would feel rich if you didn't have to work, if your investments alone, the income from your investments, the income, covered those 4 items: your housing for the rest of your life, your food, right, your travel, and some entertainment? How many think that would feel pretty good? Say aye. And by the way, that number is way smaller than what most of you think of when you think about being financially independent, which is everything covered without working. So why not get the first one down pat? And you're going to know exactly what that number is for you and what it's going to take for that number where you don't have to work to meet it. Then we can look at financial independence, where you don't have to work and everything is covered. Then we go to financial freedom. You don't have to work and everything you can think of is covered. Anything you ever want to do for yourself or others, those you want to give. That's a different level, isn't it? And most people think of financial freedom, they come up with this gigantic number that if you even figured out everything you want, it's nowhere near as big as you think. People get injured today. They don't get injured smashing into people, playing football and everything else. They get injured typing, right? Picking up a pencil. That's how people get hurt today, because we don't use everything anymore. We live in a box. Think about it. Think about our lives today and how different it is than maybe the way we were formed to be made, to run, to hunt, to create, to procreate, to raise our children, to move, to farm, to do all the things that made us use all of our body. Today, what do? You wake up and you have this box life. You have a box breakfast, right? You get in your box car, you drive to your box office, you load up a box elevator. You don't use the stairs, of course, right? You go to your box office where you type on a box, talk on a box, right? Go into a box room for meetings, right? Sure enough, got a little box you can type on, listen to music on, box, have your box lunch, drive your box home, or get in the train or subway, and another box home, get home to your box, and then turn on the box, type on a box, message on a box, and maybe go get a cylinder to change your state, right? Maybe. And most people's idea of exercise in our society today is fill the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current. That's the world we live in today. And so it's not hard to figure out why we're getting fat and why we're feeling kind of tired and why we're building up acid in our system, consuming foods that have nothing alive in them anymore, where everything is denurtured and everything is chemicalized or radiated. So it can feel overwhelming. But I think if we got back to our common sense and if we were really committed, we can make it all work. And what I'm trying to say to you is really simply this morning. I'm going to take the morning and not talk to you about how to do this. We're going to figure out why to. Because 80% of success in anything is psychology and 20% is mechanics. It's the beliefs you have that are guiding your decisions. Listen, if you make a different decision, will you take different actions? Yes or no? Yes. If you take different actions, will you get different results? Yes or no? Yes. So this day is about some new decisions. Some decisions about what you're going to believe about health and energy, how important it's going to be from you from now on. What's going to be a must for you versus a should for you. And it's not going to be a day about giving everything up. So those of you who stop breathing while I'm talking about that, I'll give you a little clue. When I'm doing things that are healthy, I enjoy being healthy because it doesn't feel like I haven't do this. It's because I'm choosing to. And I know I always have the freedom to choose something else. But I choose, the vast majority of the time, those things that give me more energy, because once you feel this kind of vitality in your body, you never want to go back. Energy is a place that I've more than been, right? And I want to make sure that you have even more. I want to make it so that it's as effortless as possible in the future, so you're not burnt out from it, so this becomes a sustainable experience. How do you make it sustainable? Create the base. How do you make it sustainable? Challenge it. Once you got a base, you challenge and grow. How do you do it? Then you got to celebrate and reward yourself for making these great rewards. And that celebration enhances your base, because you feel better and stronger, and you want to do even more good things. You want to eat better. You want to play better. I mean, when you start working out and you start to get into it, you love it. You love it. And then your base gets even stronger, so you can take on a bigger challenge in life. And sure enough, you reward yourself and celebrate some more. And it becomes how the rich get richer, how the happy get happier, how the healthy get healthier, and the poor get poorer, and the depressed get more depressed, and the unhealthy get more unhealthy. It's momentum. Today is that process of momentum. My goal is for you today to have more certainty. Certainty that you have the answers that can guide you, and that there will be challenges in your environment. There are going to be environmental challenges. There are going to be all kinds of things you'll face, but whatever it is, you can handle it. And I'm hoping that as a result of today, you'll not only make a difference in yourself, but you'll own this so much that you won't have to lecture anybody. They'll come to you and go, oh God, you have so much more energy. You look so much better. You lost this. How'd you do it? And you'll both say, let me tell you. And you will be a person who's a force for good that'll pass it on to other people. So my goal today is to plant seeds so that you not only get this, but this spreads to other people. We want to create a system that allows you to succeed in both areas, life and your enterprise. So what I want to really make sure that comes out of this is an evaluation of what your real gifts are that are going to fulfill you. Because many of you are living a script around your life that involves having an enterprise when really that may not be your true nature. That's not to say you can't do it. It just means you can do it and you'll be stressed out of your life, stressed out of your mind. And so one of the things we want to find out is how much of that is natural as a problem, how much of that is maybe unnatural. Unnatural meaning You're having problems right now that you shouldn't be having at this stage of development. The most important element is for you to be able to do this, to be able to establish, most importantly, where you really are in your life today. Where are you? And where do you really want to go? What's going to create this extraordinary life? Because some of you right now, if you continue the direction you're going, are going to be successful and unfulfilled, unhappy, and stressed. Because once we get, into a dream, then that dream starts to take on a life of its own. It gives us juice, it gives us energy. But how many of you ever got the dream, achieved your goal, and then thought, is this all there is? How many of you have had this experience? Say, aye. That's more painful than not even achieving it. Because now you've done everything, you've worked it out, and you're successful, and you're not happy. So for some of you, you're going to need to take a look at that. Michael Gerber, the guy that wrote the E-Myth, talks about why so many young businesses fail. And one of the things he says is most people are not really entrepreneurs, but they think that's what they should be. They think that's the sexy thing, that's the most attractive thing, that's the best answer. And what I say to you is, you got to separate the vehicle from the outcome. What is it that's going to truly fulfill you? What is it that's going to give you that extraordinary life? What's going to make things magnificent on your terms, not somebody else's terms, not your father, your mother, your background? What is that really? Separate the vehicle, because there's many ways to get to that vehicle. But I'm saying sometimes you got to reevaluate what's going to really make you fulfilled. What is your gift? Are you an artist? Are you the talent that can produce something no one else produces as a skill or a product or a service or some impact? Are you incredibly good at management? You really know how to manage or lead people? Are you an extraordinary entrepreneur that can take that gigantic gut load of risk and can create the vision and attract the talent that you need and the managers and leaders? You may have all three abilities, but which one really fulfills you the most is going to be the critical question. Because we tend to want to do them all, especially in a room like this, because you're all overachievers, right? Me too. And you say, well, I can do all these. Yes, you can, but what will it do to your quality of life? See, again, the secret's going to be this. What is an extraordinary life on your terms today? Getting clear about that. At this stage of life, where you are, where you want to go. At some level, you have a blueprint, a mindset, a belief system, a philosophy, a set of values that says, if I master this thing called my life or my enterprise, then I'll have this great feeling. But what's really interesting about life, I believe that extraordinary life, however you define it, has two master skills to it. The first skill is the science of achievement. Most of you in this room have achieved enormously at various levels of business or as an individual artist or talent or as an entrepreneur or as a manager or leader, as an investor. I mean, everybody in this room, most of you in this room, have really hit the jackpot by most of the world's standards, even though most of you think it's still not enough. But the science of achievement is a skill. It is a science. There are laws. So achievement, even this course, to me, that achievement is, business is a spiritual game. That's what I believe. It's a spiritual practice. A lot of people think it's business, oh, that's money, that's this horrible thing over there. And that's one of the reasons that they never get really passionate about it. I'm a very spiritually driven, purpose-driven man. But the reason I love business is I see business as the ability to take the invisible and make it visible. I think that is what spirituality and creation is. It's about how can I find the gift I have to give the world? And how can I give it in a way that truly adds value? Not I think adds value, but the people receiving it, they vote with their feet and say, this truly makes a difference in my life. This is something I value. And then because they become a customer again. Because they're thrilled with it. Because they become a raving fan, not just a satisfied customer. Satisfied customers will leave you. Raving fans will stick with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored and I'm blown away, even though this is my 25th year plus doing this. I've been doing this for a quarter of a century now, which is quite amazing for me in the process. Thank you. And I've had the privilege now of working with more than 3 million people live in events from more than 80 countries around the world. So at this stage, I got to tell you something. I could be an idiot and I would know that there are certain patterns that cause people to be fulfilled, to be happy, to fit, to be strong, to feel alive, to be vibrant, to have passion in their life, to do well financially, but even more importantly, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, in their health and their relationships. And there are also patterns that make people frustrated overwhelmed, depressed, sad, lonely, cause them to be struggling financially, struggling with their bodies, struggling intimately. And those patterns, they're not because there's something wrong with somebody, it's because of a pattern that we're doing. And I've spent a quarter of a century of my life basically studying the most successful people in the world and the most challenged, and figuring out what's the fastest way to create a change in basically developing the one thing that all people have in common who succeed. They're leaders. This is a leadership program. Because I don't care what style you are, I don't care if you're a mom, if you're a great mom, you lead your child, you're not led by your child. Or a great dad. If you're a great business person, you're a great salesperson, you're a great negotiator, you're a great anything, you're a great human being. This has been my entire life's obsession. What makes the difference in people's lives? And that leadership component, as I say, doesn't always mean somebody follows you. A leader is somebody who lives life on their terms. That you will never settle for less than you can be or share or give or create. It's not what we get that makes us happy, it's who we become. How we live our life, who we are as a person. People can take away all the things, but who you become, no one can take away. And the problem is most of us are trying to be something we're not. And it isn't so much about change, about changing yourself. The change happens when you be yourself. Know thyself, that's the hard part for most people, and then be thyself. Because most of us in our lives, out of our desire for respect or achievement or love or connection or something, we've been trying to be the way we think we'd have to be in order to get that love, respect, appreciation, whatever it is we've been after at some unconscious level. And we've been doing it so long that we think that this is who we are. Because success without fulfillment is failure. And I can't tell you how many people I work with who are supposedly the best in the world at what they do, and they have more money than they can spend, and they have all these people that love and respect them, and yet they're unhappy inside. Because if you want to know what's really you, where you're going to be alive is when it's really you. And you may even think you know who you are because you've been living a certain way, but I'll tell you how you'll know. You'll feel euphoric, you'll feel strong, you'll feel unlimited, you'll feel free. I have seen, out of 3 million people around this earth in 80 countries, I've seen just about anything you can see, and there are only so many patterns. And what you're going to find underneath all of this behavior is we have the same needs. There are 6 human needs we're going to review tonight. When you understand what those needs are and which ones you're focusing on, you start to understand why people do the crazy things they do, including you and I. And you begin to understand, hey, there might be a better way to meet my needs, and I don't have to get caught up in this game of stress and frustration and upset, or I could really help this person I care about, because I could see what's really going on. Part of what we want to accomplish here as leaders is we want to become practical psychologists. We want to understand what's really going on so we can help, so we can make a difference, so we can transform. So yes, of course you can do better in your business, because the more you understand about what people need and want, the greater you're going to be. The better manager, better leader, the better mom or dad, the better friend. And there's a better you that's available when you understand what's driving you. But most of us are running patterns over and over again. And we want to free that up. To free it up, we got to break the pattern. We got to do things that are different. So we're going to do something different. I'm not here because I believe in positive thinking. If you think that's what I believe, you don't know much about me. I'm not one of those people that believes you're supposed to go to your garden and chant, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. There's weeds right there. All right, that's what I believe. Here's what I believe. I believe that if you really want to be effective, you got to tell the truth. And they've gotten themselves in a place where it's a friendship, you know, a pat on the back, a little kiss on the cheek, but there's not that aliveness anymore. And oftentimes we're told, well, that's what you're supposed to expect after a period of time, because it isn't about time, it's about triggers and knowing those really are. And the other thing we just want you to know is this is really about how to be happy. Because, you know, so many people in life have these dreams and goals, and then they get them and they're unhappy. And when you travel around the world, here's what you find. I don't care what background people have, what their religious belief is, what level of success or challenge they have in their life. People want happiness. They want joy. They want to feel good about their life. They want a sense of meaning, that there's love and passion there, that maybe there's something in your life that you've done that you know has made a difference for someone you love. Nothing feels greater than that. And also knowing someone loves you so much, they're so passionate for you, that your life has a different level of meaning. But as important as this area is, for most people, this is the area they master the least. Most of us run to work, or we run to business, or shaping our bodies or our kids because it's safer and we have control. But this is an area that if you take charge of yourself, and if you understand the dynamics of men and women in relationship, You can make changes in minutes that maybe you've tried to make for years and really not been able to experience. Our goal is to give you the resources to take whatever you've been talking about, whatever you've been dreaming about, or as great as your relationship is, to the next level, where love and passion is a daily experience. So we thank you, and we're going to begin this process.
Thank you for joining us. Maybe one day we'll meet you personally at a program, but until then, God bless.
Just stay on the line, and pretty soon you'll meet Jen and Paul, and you'll see what it's like to be able to come back from the edge. God bless, and we'll look forward to meeting you soon.
Live with passion and love.
And love.
I'm sick, I'm fed up with feeling this way. It's unfair to her, it's unfair to me.
You want to leave?
How many good people do you know
I want to be free of the pain on both sides.
who have lost their marriage?
You're afraid?
Yes.
What are you afraid of?
That if I leave my wife, I'll lose my identity?
You probably will. In fact, it'll be worse than that. Do you have kids?
Yes.
You'll feel them hating you at times. You're gonna lose a lot of money, more than you think. He's gonna have another guy bring up his kids.
This is my wife.
Paul buries himself in his work. Jennifer has such great love for her children, her sister, and her family that Paul feels 5th, 6th, or 7th place.
How much love do you feel from your family? 0 to 10.
10.
So you're talking about your father.
No, I lost my father a year ago this week.
More uncertainty, huh? You were his little baby girl.
Definitely.
What did he say about you?
That I was perfect.
That bastard told her he was perfect.
The only person that made me feel really great was my dad.
Now she's wondering why she's losing her husband and having to get all her love from her kids and her family. All he knows is he's not your father, he's not your sister, now he's not the kids. I am no man, I live in reaction, I'm not enough. He doesn't feel enough with you. So I'm sorry to hear about your father's passing.
Thank you.
But your father needed to pass at some point so you could have a man. He can never be your man with your father alive. He has a chance now. That's how you gotta be a man. You put your fear on the shelf and love this woman with every ounce of your soul.
This is the first time that we've actually gotten to the gut of what our issues are.
You've gone to where certain love was, so you had to settle for a love that wasn't passionate. You also just started leaning against him. Can you feel that?
Yes.
I wonder what that's about.
Sometimes the one you're looking for is the one already standing next to you.
It just makes me melt, you know, like I feel like I'm number one.
Your sense of fulfillment and joy. It's both. In order to do that, we got to change what we focus on from the question of what do I have to do to what's my outcome? What do I want? What's most important to me? What's the result I'm committed to getting? That one change will change completely how you respond in your life, because it'll change you from focusing where everyone's demanding your attention or what you're afraid of or what might give you pleasure in the moment to what's most important to you. And those, by the way, are the 3 things that get our focus. If we don't discipline ourselves, what gets our focus? Something we're afraid of, something will give us pain. What's the second thing that gets our focus if we don't pay attention? Something will give us pleasure. It's like, you know what, I'm so stressed out. Oh, that chocolate's looking good. Oh, that, I'm gonna go over to have my little coffee, my smoke a mocha doka, cream, this thing and that thing, and I'm gonna escape for a few moments. Because the focus is how to feel good. How to not feel bad, how to feel good. What's the third thing that gets your focus? Other people's demands. It's not necessarily there are more demands, it's just that we're accessible to more demands. And if you don't know what you want, and you don't know why it's a must for you to achieve it, and you don't have a plan, I can promise you something. You're gonna fit in everybody else's plan. And you're gonna wonder why you're stressed. And you're gonna wonder why I'm not fulfilled. What is time? How do you know when it's a long time, or how do you know when it's a short time? It's not because it's 10 minutes or 10 hours. How many have been in 10 hours and time flew because you loved what you're doing, didn't have any sense of time whatsoever? How many have had that experience? Say aye. How many have had 10 minutes feel like 10 years you want to kill somebody to get out of the situation? So what is time? Time is emotion. Got to remember that time is emotion. What you're really managing is emotion. Another word for that would be meaning or fulfillment. Focus is power, but you got to take it. Take it back. Take back that power. And you got to know when you do have that focus, how to chunk it, how to group it so you're not overwhelmed. Let me show you how to make it simpler. When mass information is coming at you, you get overwhelmed. Most of us are great deletion creatures. We delete most of life. Right now, there are millions of things around you. You could be focusing on, thinking about, giving meanings to, making decisions about what to do. Millions. And when you think about what it's going to take to do something, usually it takes a lot, and you're not going to want to do it. We'll all do it when? Later. As my Australian friends would say, later. Right? And of course, the problem with doing it tomorrow is when you get to tomorrow, tomorrow is today, and tomorrow never comes. So, and you keep promising yourself. By the way, what does this do to you emotionally when you keep breaking your own promises with yourself? Or you keep failing to do things that you know are important? Does it increase your level of certainty and confidence? No. What it does is it erodes it. And when you erode confidence in one area, believe it or not, it affects the other areas too. Do you believe me on that? Don't believe me. What about your own life experience? Maybe not one area, but it starts to be multiple areas, it sure does. Another reason why somebody doesn't exercise or do anything is because they don't just chunk it too big, they chunk it in too many details. So remember this. Remember this. Change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation. I'll say that again. Change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation or drive, having strong enough reasons. If you got a strong enough reason, you could figure out the time, couldn't you? So the biggest part of life and time management is knowing what you want and having enough reasons to follow through. But there is one more piece. If you make enough reasons to follow through and you know what you want, but you make the task overwhelming, you'll be overwhelmed. What you focus on, you feel. What you feel, you are moved to somehow actuate. But if you only focus on what you don't want or what's stressful in your life, what you can't control, or what you screwed up on, or what you messed up on in the past, not going to get where you want to be. Chunking is power. You don't want to over-chunk where you're trying to bite the whole darn thing together. You also don't want to under-chunk where you make a million pieces of something. What is chunking? It's taking all that's coming at you and putting it into idealized size groups that your mind can handle. See, science has proven the human brain, consciously, we can only handle what they call 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information. It's a term that they describe in science, that human beings can only handle 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information at one time.